All right. What's up, y'all? Episode 3 of the Football Frame of Mind podcast. I'm your host, Cam. Other host of the show, Brandon. Uh, we, like I said, two guys love football, man. We're gonna get into some SEC action, man. We're starting our segment of conference breakdown. We break it down a few conferences, probably all Power Five, and then we're gonna get some Group of Fives in there. But we're gonna start with the premier conference of college football right now, the SEC, man. Um, like I said, we got a lot to talk about. So first thing, SEC, man. Like I said, great conference, man. Historic conference. The NFL's damn near minor league system, if you want to talk about that,
I
right?
agree with you on that.
So, we got some great players, some great coaches, man. We're gonna talk about a lot of that tonight, or today. First things first, man. How you feel about the SEC, man, coming into this year, man? Last year of
It,
the
it,
playoff, in the current format, how you feel about it?
I think it's going to be a good year. Obviously, we're in a middle year right now. Everybody knows that next year we're getting Texas, we're getting Oklahoma. It's probably going to be getting rid of divisions. But as for this year, I think this year's going to be really good for the conference. There's a lot of good players. Seems like a lot of teams have gotten their act together. The guys who are good, we know who they're good. Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee. Obviously, those teams are good, and there's teams that are on the rise or who could be dark horses like Texas A&M, Kentucky, South Carolina's a good one as well.
Mm.
Uh, Even the bottom 50 teams, I feel like they're. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say they're not in contention for an SEC title, but I think everybody. I don't know. I think this year's going to be a really good year for overall for sure.
Okay, yeah, man. I feel like that too. I feel like it's a good year. Obviously, like you mentioned, Texas and OU coming to the conference. That's a very, very big addition. I think people are sleeping on the magnitude of what that means. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for what it means for other conferences getting like disbanded. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a really big, big chess move. People not really looking at. But as far as like for our current landscape, I think it's some good teams, man. Some really good teams. I think one of the teams that people aren't looking for is I think South Carolina. That's my team, my surprise team of the year, man. I think Spencer Rattler is one of those guys that are really gonna be, really good, man. And I think, they're gonna take a step forward, man. I think their coach is Shane Beamer. I think that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
So
Shane Beamer.
I like his energy and I just like what he's doing, man. Sometimes it just takes one change at the top and things just work out for you. But I do like the fact that they are going in the right direction. There's a lot of good young players, man, that are really gonna show that they can play, man. But I think the storyline is really Georgia, man.
Mm-hmm.
They got a chance to do something serious. You know what I'm saying? Like a three-peat, man. It hasn't happened since Minnesota back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's important, to really look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is some historic shit that's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want, I'm a homer, Bama is my squad. So I kind of want to play them, and get this, I want to be one to stop them. I want us to be the one to stop them because they doing it the way we used to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like defense, run the ball, simple quarterback, not the high flying stuff you see now. Like they doing it like how we used to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, we need to go back to what we used to do. You know what I'm saying? And dominating on that side of the ball. You know what I'm saying? Running the ball and playing really good defense. I feel like ever since 2016, we've just been downhill on defense, man, because we score so much. We've had this riches of quarterbacks at Bama, and we have kind of got spoiled to the point where all these good quarterbacks come, and you know what I'm saying, the Bryces, the Mac Joneses, the Jalen Hurtses of the world. You know what I'm saying? These guys come along, and it's like, oh, okay, well, we ain't gonna play no defense because we can score like 50 points a game. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool until you play somebody like Clemson and San Francisco, and they actually play some defense, and then you down like 50 in the ugliest game you've ever seen play. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're
Mhm.
gonna go back to the black and blue. I love our team right now. Like I said, we'll get into like coaches and all that. But current landscape of the SEC, I like it. I like it. So
And I'm
break
with you on
down.
that.
Yeah, break down this conference, man. So what's some top players, man? Some top players coming back that you're excited to see, and who you think gonna do some big damage this year?
So you spoke on Spencer Rattler. I think he'll have a good year. But as of guys that I think are going to make a really big impact, I said it in the first episode. Will Rogers is probably the best quarterback in the conference, just
Mm-hmm.
from a pure quarterback standpoint. Obviously, Mike Leach is no longer with us. Rest in peace. But if they can keep that offense intact, just the way we were running the offense, I keep saying we. I don't know why I said that, but Will Rogers was prolific. That's the kind of guy you want going into war with you. He can make the throws. He can read the defenses. He can do it all. If we're not just looking at quarterback, if we're looking at defense, Harold Perkins is an impact player. They're going to be running him at outside and inside linebacker and on the edge. Definitely a guy who's really good in coverage, really good rushing the quarterback, really good disrupting an offensive scheme. And if we're just talking about maybe a guy who's got experience, but his first year in the SEC, I think Devin Leary is going to have a good year for Kentucky as well, with Mark Stoops as his coach.
Okay. Yeah, man, some really good names, man. I'm really excited to see what y'all do with Harold Perkins, man. He is a mini version of Will Anderson, man. Like he's a mini version of him, man. I've seen guys unblockable, and he's just unblockable, man. He's big enough to fight in the run game, but he's small enough to use his quickness against any offensive lineman out there. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that y'all playing him at inside is really interesting because I think it's going to help his draft stock a lot because
Oh, definitely.
being able to rush the passer is one thing, and Will Anderson was a great outside linebacker, defensive end, but I don't think you would ever see him playing inside. So the fact that a guy like him, you can move him inside, outside, hand in the dirt, standing up, you know what I'm saying? Like I think it's good. It's good for him, and I think that's gonna make him at least a top 10 pick next year. If the experiment goes well for to move him around like that, like a chess piece, I think it's good. But that's something you guys did a lot at LSU, man. I remember, like I said, Honey Badger. He used to be around the box all the time. He
Mm-hmm.
used to be around the box, guarding people. You know what I'm saying? Blitzing, covering running backs, punt returner is a chess piece. You know what I'm saying? And then you had guys like your boy LaRon Landry. I liked him a lot with y'all.
That's a heavy hitter, bro.
So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Then Ja'Cory Stevens. I liked him a lot. Grant Delpit, y'all moved him around. Like those guys like that. I like them guys. Y'all
The
moved
glue guy,
around. Yeah, you know what
guys
I'm
who
saying?
can
Guy that
play
can
all the
play
plays and get you guys going.
anywhere. You can put them anywhere and they just fit in. So it's not surprising that y'all using Harold Perkins like that. But some top players that I'm looking at, obviously, I would have said Harold Perkins too. But for me, I'm looking at Dallas Turner, man. He was a part of our cheated package with our I think Will Anderson, and then you had some guys, other guys coming in there, our speed rush package, you know what I'm saying? So he's the next guy up. You know what I'm saying? I want to see, if he can be that next dominant pass rusher, man, for us. Get us back to where we were. You know what I'm saying? I would like I said, I'll also say Spencer Rattler. That's the guy I'm looking at. It doesn't take long for somebody to turn your program around. And I think he's finally got his act together. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I really want to see this guy Milton from Tennessee. He was Hendon Hooker's backup, last year. So yeah, he has a crazy arm. I think he was on social media throwing 80 yards, standing straight up. So if that's the case, look out. So
Marcus Russell-esque.
yeah. But this, I think this guy can actually throw accurately. So
Oh, that's dangerous
yeah,
for
that's a
sure.
dangerous dude, man. And then you got like I said, Auburn kind of retooled their whole thing after that Brian Harsin experiment. So they got some good guys out the portal. So I hate saying Auburn, but hey,
Yeah, they got
they
Robbie
they
Ashford
they
back
they,
too.
they got a new coach, which we're going to get into. So yeah, that's just some top players I'm looking at. Like I said, man, I think, like I said, I'm a Bama guy, so that's kind of where I am. But I think Will Rogers was a good comparison, man. I like him as the best quarterback right now. So I'm interested to see how they go post Mike Leach. I would love to see, like I mentioned in another episode, I would love to see if they keep some of those air raid traits because that keeps them with the ability to beat anybody. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because if you can score 40 points a game, you're gonna be in just about every game. You know what I'm saying?
this
No
is
matter
true.
who, no matter who you playing, when you playing them, rain, sleet, or snow, whatever, you're gonna be able to kind of stick in the game. You know what I'm saying? If you can score some points, so I think he'll be real good, man. And you know, and a sleeper player that nobody's talking about, man, is Malik Benson for us, man. Malik Benson, he was the workout quarterback for Bryce Young's pro day, and he was getting a lot of looks, man. There's a lot of pro scouts there, and he really showed out. You know what I'm saying? Just it's just t-shirts and cleats or whatever. But the fact that he was making these runs, making these routes, doing all these things, and catching all the passes, I don't think he dropped a single pass that whole pro day. So coming into the season, I'm like, man, we really need a guy to take the top off of defense. It felt like we was real compact last year without that real go-to weapon. So I think Malik Benson is going to surprise a lot of people. Barring injury, of course, that kind of can derail a lot of people. But healthy year for him. I'm not going to say he can do a Jameson Williams type of transfer for us, but it gives us another option as far as receivers go, rather than the same kind of guy, possession receiver.
Mhm.
So I like I said, I like him a lot, man. So I like your top player list. I like mine too. But we're going into like I said, breaking down this conference, man. So much to talk about, man. But coaches, man, how you feel about the coaching landscape, man? You think some people gonna survive the season? Because there's some hot seat guys. There's some guys that are seated to make either some more runs at extensions or get coaching jobs other places. You know what I'm saying? So how you feel about the landscape, man? What you kind of seeing out there?
Well, I think there's obviously you're gonna have a handful of guys who obviously king of the SEC is Nick Saban. Kirby Smart comes from the same coaching tree as Nick Saban, so you're seeing the same kind of tendencies, same success. Uh, Obviously, Brian Kelly is looking to have a better year last year, was setting the landmark for the culture. Been making big waves in the transfer portal. Don't be surprised to see them back in the SEC championship. If we're talking about other guys, I think one guy on the hot seat for sure is Billy Napier with Florida. Uh,
Mm,
Had a lot
okay.
of hype coming out of ULF yet. I think he's a really good coach. Florida just seems like one of those places, man. It feels like ever since Urban Meyer's left, it's just a dumpster fire. It's like I don't know if it's a curse or what. I think Billy Napier's a really good coach. He's a damn good recruiter, but he's going into this year on the hot seat, man. If they don't get a winning season, 8, 9 wins, like there could be discussions for him to leave. And I don't think it's for good reason, but you got to understand the SEC. If you're not competing to win that your division and be in the title game, or if you're not bringing in really good recruiting classes consistently, you're on the hot seat. And I mean, Vanderbilt's probably in a very similar situation. Kentucky's up and down. Mark Stoops is a good coach. How they do this year with Devin Leary, if they're going to be able to compete for the East, is going to determine whether he's on the hot seat as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of good coaches in our conference. Obviously, I say our conference. I mean, we know where our loyalties lie, but
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I think we have really good coaches. You obviously have the upper echelon, like I mentioned before, and you have a couple guys who will be sitting at the bottom, and a couple guys that have something to prove. They have a lot of good coordinators out there too. But I guess we'll see where we're at the beginning, at the midway point, and where we're at by the end of the season.
Okay. Yeah, man. Great points, man. Especially with Mark Stoops, man. I think this is the best quarterback he's ever had at Kentucky at this point. So he's been able to get it done in different ways, man. He's been a running team. He's been a kind of a passing pro style team with Will Levis last year. So
Mm-hmm.
this is more of a spread quarterback kind of guy. So he's going to be able to throw the ball with some consistency at least 40 times a game if he wanted to go that
Mm-hmm.
route. But he's such a defensive, old school kind of guy that I don't think he's going to lose his ability to run the ball with Kentucky. And defensively, Kentucky's always kind of good, so I don't really expect them to change much there. But if Devin Leary doesn't work out, then it's going to raise some questions about the ability to develop quarterbacks, man. Then you made a good point about him being on the hot seat. I think that's a good point that when those questions are going to come up about him and his ability to develop quarterbacks, they're going to think about like, okay, how do we score more points here? Because we want to be exciting and we want to win more games. And the way you do that nowadays is passing the football. So I think it might be some questions about his offensive coordinator, trying to get somebody in there that can kind of develop quarterbacks a little bit better. But
Mm-hmm.
as we've seen, man, if you hit on a quarterback like Joe Brady did with Joe Burrow, it's going to be a lot of people, looking at you for jobs, man. So
True.
you're gonna have to, what I'm saying, it's hard to build a culture of kind of building good quarterbacks if that's not your expertise. You feel me? So
Mm-hmm.
I think for him, like this is a big year for Kentucky as far as at least taking a step to maybe compete to be that second team in the East. You know what I'm saying? At least try. You know what I'm saying? Anything's possible nowadays, but you gotta take some steps to that. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, is the worst kept secret in the SEC is Jimbo Fisher, man. I'm sorry to
Goodness.
say it, man, but when you sign a like almost $100 million contract, man, with
10 years.
with a buyout, of like 80 million or 70 after this season or something
You
like
got
that.
a John Gruden contract.
Exactly. So you're in a spot, man. I'd be kind of a fool if I didn't say that Texas A&M is a very good spot to recruit in. Um, it has they just brought in the best class ever 2 years ago, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
those guys either have transferred out or are not playing at all. So you're gonna have to do something. The offense is not working. It's not working at all. You're gonna have to do something else. You want to do the same offense you've had at Florida State. I mean, yeah, it worked, but your trigger man isn't Jameis Winston. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to kind of work with the quarterbacks that you have, man, and you got some really good players on offense and defense. So I don't see why you can't win. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? You're
Mm-hmm.
getting beat by Bama, you're getting beat by, LSU, you're getting beat by all these teams, man, and player for player, you almost even. So you don't really understand why it's happening. So that's the guy that has a lot to do this year as well. Um, Like I said, you bring in Bobby Petrino, man. He's had some success as an offensive coordinator, offensive guru. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, but Jimbo Fisher's a headstrong guy, so I don't really understand. I don't know how much leash he's gonna give Bobby Petrino, if any at all. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's on a hot seat this year, man. I think the boosters there have a lot of money, and I don't think he's safe, man. If they struggle out the gate, they gonna start getting their money together to get him up out of there. You know what I'm
No, I
saying?
mean, dude, when you get them big NIL deals, A&M's probably done the best freaking recruiting over the last 2-3 years just off of NIL money. I
Yeah.
mean, we got lucky. I mean, look at it like this: the caliber of guys they're bringing in. Harold Perkins originally committed to Jimbo Fisher. He decommitted and came to LSU for whatever reasons. Jimbo's got money on his side. Jimbo can recruit. Like you said, they're in a really good location, Kyle Field.
Facilities.
They got really good facilities. You're in Texas, quite possibly the best state for football in the country.
Yep.
It's make or break. And if I'm not talking Billy Napier, yeah, Jimbo Fisher's definitely got a really hot seat coming into the season. If they struggle out the gate, that's definitely going to be a conversation we're going to have for sure.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So, like I said, man, but it's some new coaches, man. Well, not necessarily new, but there's some coaches making a return to the SEC, man. Hugh Freeze, man. Hugh Freeze after some
Mm-hmm.
good years in Liberty. Obviously he has some past discretions at Ole Miss. But if we taking those things away, Ole Miss was very good, man. They obviously beat Bama 2 years in a row, when nobody could do it. And they did it 2 years in a row. He had some really high flying offenses. They had some fast, some good quarterbacks and things like that. So um, I expect him at Auburn to do some things. I hope not too many good things, but enough for them to
A good
enough.
reason for both of us.
Yeah, so I hope not too many good things, but enough to keep his job, man. You know, because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, a rivalry is not a rivalry if the other side doesn't win. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the other side, and I don't want them to win. So yeah, so he's a good guy. So so yeah, he's a good guy, man. I'm really excited, man, because like I said, Auburn's been a dumpster fire since Gus Malzahn left a couple years ago. Brian Harsin was there for a little bit, but he wasn't. That wasn't for him, man. He was one stop. He got that job a little bit faster than he should have. Had
That dude,
he
Auburn's a big job.
Huh? Yeah, Auburn's a big job, man. And the same case for your guy Billy Napier, man. I think he got the job too fast, man. Like, all right, so you're at ULL, you're having success, right? But
Mm.
that's if we're talking like college basketball, that's a mid-major, right? That's a mid-major school.
Yeah.
So there's another group of schools that you can go to that would be a step up without stepping all the way up. You know, like
Even
if
teams in the same country.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you're in the Sun Belt, I believe they're in the Sun Belt conference.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in the Sun
Yeah.
Belt, and there's a step up from that. Like you could go Big East. I think they still have a conference, sort of. Or you can go American conference. You can do that, or you can go Mountain West too, right? But there's a step up from the Sun Belt conference, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
he stepped up a little too fast. The same thing for Brian Harson. You know what I'm saying? Although he was in the Boise State, but there's
Mm-hmm.
lower level Power Five teams that you could have taken over to better prepare yourself for what Auburn was going to throw at you, because
True.
that's not a program that you can win 8 games and still be there 3 years later. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So for now, backtracking to Billy Napier, he's in an awesome spot, man. If they win and kind of be that second team under Georgia, or even beat Georgia this year in Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
that'll be a step in the right direction to kind of call off the dogs for his job, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think he'll be. It's an interesting thing for him moving forward. Um, like I said, I think coaching in the SEC is good. I'll even throw some coordinators in there that are destined to get other jobs. So Tommy Reese coming to Alabama is a huge thing for him.
Hmm.
Obviously, everybody who has been a coordinator or a high level assistant has gotten a big time coaching job. I can go Mel Tucker. He's a coach at Michigan State right now. Obviously,
Hmm.
Kirby Smart at Georgia. I can go Mike Loxley, coach at Maryland right now. Steve Sarkisian is a coach at Texas right now. So everybody that has left has gotten a bigger job. So for
Hmm.
him, last year we had some struggles on offense, man. At least some creativity situations, right? So for him, this is a big year for his coaching career. If he comes in and we have this burst of offense like we're supposed to, he takes Jalen Milroe. I'm not even gonna say turns him into a Heisman candidate, but turns him into a respectable passer, sort of like Jalen Hurts and Lane Kiffin, who's another guy. They got a good coaching
Yep.
job, right? So
Hmm.
if you turn a guy like that into a pretty good, quarterback, it's gonna look good on your resume, moving forward. So there's gonna be some guys that some coaches that are, gonna lose their job. It's just the nature of the beast, right? So I expect him to be one of those high candidates if we, play really good, you know what I'm saying? So and we brought in kind of an old guy, as far as SEC circles is concerned, Kevin Steele. Uh,
Hmm.
he was the coach for Alabama when the dynasty first started. He was the first defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator when Auburn almost beat your LSU team with Joe Burrow. He was the defensive coordinator there. It's the toughest game
Hmm.
they ever played all year, even against us. We didn't
That's
play a
true.
good defensive game. We played a good offensive game. But they played a good defensive game against y'all, and that was the toughest y'all looked. That was probably the worst y'all looked all season against them. So
Hmm.
when he got to Bama, he didn't have this type of talent. So now with a roster of like 4 and 5 star guys that are itching to kind of get back to that competitive football, I think he's gonna simplify things, and we're just gonna go back to the old way of see ball, get ball, and it's gonna be really interesting. Now, I don't think his head coaching career is going anywhere because he's like 67 ish. So I don't think he's gonna like pursue any head coaching jobs. But it's not surprising though. It's not surprising if he did entertain the idea because it's been so long since he had been a head coach. He coached at Baylor, back in the day. So and Mac Brown came out of retirement on TV to coach UNC. So anything's possible, but I don't think he's gonna do anything with that.
Hmm.
Just some coaches, man. I think coaching is good, man. People don't understand, man. Coaching is tough, but in SEC, man, it's real tough, man. Because how many, like, I'm gonna throw this stat out to you. How many people lost their job because Nick Saban was beating them so bad? How many you think? I
Quite
like,
a bit. Even in the last few years or so.
right? You know what I'm
You
saying?
got to think about it too. It's crazy because Nick Saban beats everybody, but at the same time, it's like that's the standard you hold up to. You don't necessarily have to beat him, but you know you're trending in the right direction if you even if you're not winning, but you're putting up a fight. And there's a question at some point, damn, they might actually pull this one out. That we've seen that numerous times where maybe a team didn't beat Georgia, didn't beat Alabama, but the fight's there. They're trending in the right direction. Maybe they just don't have the players, or maybe they just need another year, or things of that nature. But yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think like I said, man, I think like Ed Ogeron, like he's on his way out the door, and y'all gave us our toughest game the year before
Hmm.
last. You know what I'm saying? Like literally on the last play of the game, y'all could have won the game. You know what I'm saying? Like really. So the talent is there. You just need a good player, a good coach, a good CEO, man, to really kind of stir the drink, man. And don't get me wrong, Ed Ogeron, man, I really liked him a lot with y'all, man, because he fit y'all. He's from there, and he kind of just fit, man. He's perfect. Cajun coach, Cajun team. Get all the Louisiana boys you can get because they talk just like him. They eat just like him. Like, I mean, it's perfect, man. Like, if you're a
Yeah.
Louisiana boy, why would you not want to play for a coach that's just like you? Whatever race
Mm-hmm.
you want to call it, whatever. He was gonna
That
be he was gonna appeal to everybody. But like I said, man, it's always it's tough, man, when you put those expectations on somebody like that because you win a national championship and it's so dominant that you just think, oh, it's gonna be like that forever. And
no, and that
realist
wasn't built to be like that.
and realistically, man, it wasn't right, man. Like I felt like they put too much on him. Then COVID happened right after that. Like he didn't even have time to really get that together before 2021 comes around, and now we're talking about, hey, let's get back to 2019, man. COVID over with. So like I said, I just think they put a lot of unnecessary pressure on him, and it just kind of went downhill, man. But one thing about Brian Kelly, man, Brian Kelly ain't gonna let you talk no stuff about his team. You know what I'm saying? He's
Yeah.
a he's a blue collar coach, man, and he's a proven winner, man. It's not like y'all got a guy that wasn't a winner. He won at
You
at
got a guy who's the most accredited coach to not win a national championship. I mean, the
right.
guy can do it all. He just hasn't had the assets. He hasn't had the talent pool. And that's not me being biased for being an LSU fan, but you look at Ed Orgeron. Yeah, he's a hometown guy, hell of a recruiter, but honestly, not the best coach. You were surrounded by great players. You might have had the best offensive coordinator. You might have had the best defensive coordinator in Dave Aranda, who's coaching at
I
Baylor now.
forgot. Yeah, yeah. Right about
But
him.
now at it, Orgeron couldn't keep that up because, I mean, obviously he got his hands into some things he probably shouldn't have been doing. But I mean, it's really hard to replicate that. But I mean, now you have a guy who can coach. He can recruit. He can do everything. You've got an offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, who obviously can adapt. We struggled a little bit with Jaden last year, but they figured it out, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do really well this year. And you got Matt House, who had one of the best defenses in the country last year, running with B.J. Ojulari and Harold Perkins and guys like that. So, I mean, it all starts from the head coach. And, I mean, coaching in the SEC is tough. But Brian Kelly obviously proved for a guy who never coached in the SEC before last year that if you have the credentials and you know what you're doing, you can do it for sure.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I agree, man. I agree. I think it was a very, very good move for LSU to get him. Like, I mean, I don't know how that whole thing worked out. I would love to hear the story about how they pulled him away from Notre Dame because
Mhm.
I didn't think he was leaving, man. But the offer was there, man. The offer was there, and it worked out. So I appreciate him, man, for what he keeps doing. And so yeah, I like Brian Kelly, man. Like I said, man, he's won everywhere. Cincinnati, Central Michigan, obviously Notre Dame, national championship, college playoff. He's done a lot. So I appreciate him a lot, man. Just staying on the grind and beating Bama, man. Like, dude, that's what he said he came there to do. So he did it. So I like him. He's good in my watch, man. I don't care. So now let's get into these conference winner predictions, man. Which division conference, how you feel about that?
So, I mean, I'll make a kind of a prediction, then I'll say something. So, in the West, it's going to be between me or you. It's going to be between Nick Saban and Brian Kelly. I don't see anybody else. Jimbo's got the talent. I don't see him putting it together. I think A&M's going to have an okay season. I think they're going to struggle. So I think out of the West, it's going to be between LSU and Bama. If I go out East, the East is really interesting but Georgia is still Georgia. So out of the East, man, I've kind of shifted a little bit on this. I think it's either going to be between Georgia or Tennessee. I think Tennessee still got a really good roster, but if I have to predict who's coming out of the East and the West, it's a bold prediction, but I think it's going to be a rematch. I think it's going to be LSU Georgia again. I think it'll be really tough. I think Alabama's going to have, if not a better season than LSU. It could go either way. It definitely could go either way. But if I'm going to make a bold prediction, I think it's going to be LSU Georgia in the SEC title game again.
Okay, okay. All right. So I'm gonna say my winner is obviously Georgia in the East, but I don't think it's gonna be as cookie cutter as people think. I think they're gonna struggle with South Carolina, and I think they're gonna struggle with Florida this year. Defensively, I think they'll be dominant as they always are, but offensively, it's a lot of questions, and I don't think they're gonna have as easy as a road as they had this year. Now, strength of schedule wise, they shouldn't struggle. They should be undefeated going into probably the game against Florida and the game against South Carolina, but those might be their toughest stumbles because I don't even think Tennessee is gonna give them that much because although I'm high on Milton or Joe Milton, I think that's his name. He hasn't proven anything yet. He had a good bowl game or whatever, but I don't know. I have to see how he plays. But if he balls out, hey, it'll be another tough game for them. But I don't think anybody's beating them, unless you play your perfect game. And nobody has a perfect scheme for them yet. Like you're gonna have to outscore them. And the only team that could really do that is Tennessee, but I'm not sure about their quarterback. So at the end of the day, I don't even know how many points you're gonna put up, you know what I'm saying, or how many points you're gonna give up either. So, but for me, I know South Carolina has a good quarterback in Spencer Rattler. So I know for that matter. And I know Florida got Mertz from Wisconsin. So
Graham Mertz.
yeah, so they have a quarterback that could play, So all you need is some, defense, running game or whatever to kind of help him. But Tennessee doesn't have a guy like that. So I think Georgia doesn't be their toughest thing, but Georgia definitely comes out on top. Now, as far as the West is concerned, I can look at it two ways. I can look at it like, okay, Bama will just be back to normal. Nothing's going to happen. We're just going to run through everybody to play Georgia in the SEC championship game. Now, that's one way of looking at it, but I'm a fan, but I'm also a real fan as well. So I know what problems we have going into this season. And one is we got to solve quarterback. We can't go into this season having a quarterback controversy, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like we did in 14 or 15 or whatever, when we had Jake Coker and Cooper Bateman playing. And that's why we ultimately lost to Ole Miss that year because we didn't want to pull the trigger on either one. So we went into the game and got behind with Cooper Bateman at quarterback, and then Coker came and just kind of led us back almost. So those things kind of matter to me when I'm looking at a team. We can't have that. That quarterback has to be the answer. You have to figure out somebody week one who's gonna start. It's no questions, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. And then running the ball, man. We got a stable of running backs that really didn't get no shine last year. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's injury or mismanagement of players, whatever. But we got a stable of running backs that we just need to let eat. That's it, man. Get back. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a 1,000-yard rusher, man. It's ridiculous. And there's no reason why our number one rusher is our number one receiver as well. There's no reason for that. So coming into this season, I want to see more balance, man. Like I said, Bryce Young had to do so much because we couldn't move the ball running, and he had to scramble for his life. Now, yes, sacks were down last year for us, but I don't know. if we come back and we run the ball like we're supposed to, I think that's cool. Now that's offense. Defense, I want to see just less complication, man. I mean, going against Tennessee last year, man, we looked completely lost last year in the secondary. I mean, dude ran for like 200 yards on us just running through our secondary, like we playing tag or something. Like just running through there, man. Everybody, you get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. I mean, like just ridiculous, right? So I want to see more easier communication between the secondary and some good linebacker play, man. I don't think we got good linebacker play last year. And defensive line was pretty good last year. I didn't really have too much concern because obviously Will Anderson was there and Dallas Turner was on the other side. We had some good young players that really wanted to see play. So I think last year we were so complicated on defense that you had to play Henry Toa last year because he was the only one that really understood how to call the defense. He wasn't necessarily the best linebacker we had, but he was the smartest one. And when you play a linebacker, you got to be smart. So it helped us, win whatever games we did win last year. Just him being able to call the defense. Now I think with Kevin Steele there, it'd be simpler and be able to just kind of just play without having to think so much. You know what I'm saying? So look forward to that. And we got the best kicker in the game right now. I don't care what nobody say. Will Riker's off the chain. He probably gonna be one of them kickers that get drafted. You know what I'm saying? If he can have another good year. So I think going into the West, I think we'll be good. And our toughest competition is obviously gonna be you guys. We got some rivalry games. Obviously Tennessee, if they get their act together, and then we really don't know what to expect with Auburn. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I don't know
I
what
think
to.
they're gonna surprise some people for sure.
Yeah,
Robbie
man, it's
Anderson
a
coming
different
back. I
team.
mean,
It's a
Hugh Freeze
different
is a good
team.
coach.
You're gonna have to scout them all year to see what kind of
Have an
team.
idea of who they are.
Yeah, so by the time we get in the Iron Bowl, we might have an idea of who they are, but we don't play well against Hugh Freeze, man, and that's just kind of what it is. So, and
Who's
he
coming out the West?
yeah, so I think, like I said, think Bama's coming out the West. But if those questions ain't answered, then I don't know. It could be up for grabs, man. For real. Like if we can't get it right at quarterback, then it probably be y'all, man. But like I said, man, it's some good teams, man, in the West, man. Because you still got Arkansas. They lurking. They always there. Like let them get.
They always give us the hardest time, whether they suck or not, bro. They always give us shit fits every year, bro.
Yeah, so that's what
Every
I'm
time.
saying. Like let them figure it out, like defense and like running the ball a lot. Like let them get two 1,000-yard rushers this year, and I guarantee it's gonna change the complexion of their whole season. If they can get KJ by the time they play y'all to have a good amount of
We playing them early today. I mean, this year. We
yeah,
usually play them at
so
the end of the season.
yeah, so yeah, like I said, I think Bama comes out the West, so I think it's Bama, Georgia for the SEC championship game, and I think depending on how it goes, I think those two teams in there, and I think if we go in there undefeated, don't be surprised if Bama and Georgia are in the playoff because
Oh yeah. I
if
mean,
they
we're already
undefeated.
anticipating two of those guys are going to be in. At least two of those three teams are going to be in there off top, just
Yeah,
based off of strength of schedule, the strength of the rosters, the coaching. Regardless, if one like two of those teams are going to be in the playoff 9 times out of 10, unless there's some crazy stuff that happens, crazy injuries, or somebody else kind of surges in there. But
yeah, and I don't think they're gonna be scared to put them in a rematch either. At 1-4, if one team win, the other team win, or 1-2, whatever. I
oh,
don't
I
think.
wouldn't doubt it.
I
That'll
don't
happen.
think they
If
set they
LSU,
set the
Georgia,
precedent last year though. They set the precedent last year when they put TCU in there and they lost their championship game. So you can't punish nobody for losing it. Except
no, but I think TCU is a good example of, hey, we need to be more careful about who we put in because TCU proved that they weren't that team. Obviously, I know they played Georgia, but there's no reason you should be getting blown out how they got blown out, especially if you're supposed to be a top 5 ranked team. I'm sorry, you play in the Big 12 or whatever, but
And
there's no
dude,
excuse for that.
but I knew they weren't a good team even if they beat Michigan.
Well,
Like,
Kansas State beat them. Kansas State wasn't a bad team, but Kansas State beat them.
yeah.
I mean, that says a
Like,
lot.
I was like, bruh. And my thought process was I wasn't even mad that Ohio State got in there. I wasn't. I wasn't mad because I knew they would give Georgia a good game.
Mm-hmm.
What pissed me off is TCU over us. That's what pissed me off.
That's where I was because if we wouldn't have lost that game to A&M, this probably going to be us or y'all getting in there. TCU, like, not a bad team, but your strength of schedule and your competition, look, Michigan shouldn't have lost that game. Michigan's a way better team than them, but Jim Harbaugh's got some questionable losses. He's a damn good coach, but TCU definitely shouldn't have been in that conversation at all. It
No.
should have been Alabama.
Yeah.
Even if we beat Alabama.
I just look at it like this. Okay. Some people look at it like you win, right? But
Yeah, but
I'm a person that looks at how you win.
mm-hmm.
And all year they've been scraping by.
Like by the skin of the teeth all year.
All year.
That's what
I'm
happened against
like,
Michigan too.
I'm like, that's not a top 4 team in the country, man. If you got to scrape by all year, wait till you put a team together. Wait till you play a team that can put you away early,
Georgia.
right? Wait till you play a team that can put you away early to the point where you can't crawl your way out of. And that's exactly what happened against Georgia, man. They got lucky against Michigan, and they crawled their way out of that one. They crawled their way out of Minnesota. I mean, or not Minnesota. Who they play, bro? They crawled their way out of some team, man. Was it
It
Oklahoma
happens
State or something
consistently.
like that? One of them teams, but they won on like a last second field goal or something like that. But they've been crawling their way through everything. That's not a good team, in my opinion. If you have to scratch and crawl your way to a victory every week, when you play somebody like us or Georgia, or even y'all for that matter, ain't no way you're gonna just keep. Ain't no way you're gonna win if you get buried early. You're gonna quit because you're behind so much. Like usually you're behind in a deficit that you could come back 14, 10, well 24 at halftime. Nah, bro.
That's over with.
Over anyway. So yeah. Like I said, the Bama Georgia SEC championship game. Bama Georgia, depending on a loss total in the playoff for me. That's my prediction. So let me get your well, like I said, I know we discussed like you're recruiting, you don't really do that until they get on the field. So but I'll throw some freshmen out there, man, for you to look up and just kind of look at their game or whatever, right? So my first person, man, is Bama. Got a safety, 5-star guy. I think consensus, unanimous, whatever, 5-star, everywhere. His name's Caleb Downs, man. Uh, he's not like a Swiss Army knife like Minka was when he came in as a freshman, but he's gonna have some success, moving forward. His skill is too undeniable, man. Like usually freshmen have to grow into the defense of Nick Saban, but some people you just can't deny, and he's one of them, man. And then there's a guy for Tennessee, man, that I think might give Joe Milton a run for his money, man. I don't know his last name, but his first name is Nico. He's a young quarterback there. Uh, he should be able to play. So, and then we got a young offensive lineman named Caden Proctor. I think he's gonna be really good for us, man. He should be starting at right or left tackle for us. So, I think he'll be real good, man. So there's some freshmen for you to look up, man, to pay attention to, man. Moving forward, man. I think Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor are gonna be on offense. No, on defense, Caleb Downs and Caden Proctor on offense are probably gonna be two important pieces this year for us, man. I guarantee it. Like if we win, I think it's gonna be a lot of contributing from them. So
Mm-hmm.
now I don't know if Nico's gonna even get the starting job because I think Tennessee's just kind of hell bent
Joe
on
Milton.
Joe Milton being the guy. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, anything's possible, man. I've seen guys take over starting jobs halfway through the season, and it's just theirs. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, just some people to look at, man. I'm telling you, some impact freshman, dog, impact freshman. So, but I'll throw out one guy that's not a freshman though, but it's going to be probably a breakout star this year. Evan Stewart. Evan
Mm-hmm.
Stewart from Texas A&M, man. Like I really like him, man. He's got a smooth kind of game to him, man. He's electric, but he's smooth with his routes. You can run him. You can run him on jet sweeps. He can do that. Beat you deep. You know anything. He can do it all, man. But like I said, man, some good players, man. Don't forget about this guy from Missouri, man. I forgot his name, Lee Bolden or something like that. I don't know, but he's from like my stomping grounds, man. So, he went to like East St. Louis High School, man, and their success is going to depend on him on offense. Like if you can get him the ball anywhere, I think he'll be good, man. Like I said, man,
Mm-hmm.
who's a guy for you that you looking forward on LSU, man? That's coming back.
One guy for sure. We had a true freshman tight end, Mason Taylor, who caught that game-winning score on y'all.
Yeah, I
Telling
remember.
you, dude's athletic. He's Jason Taylor's son. He's crazy athletic. He's got good hands, strong, runs good routes. We're building a strong tight end room with this class coming in the 2024 class. Jaden Daniels is coming in more established.
Well, shoot, that's what Brian Kelly's been producing, man. Didn't he coach Travis
Michael
Kelce?
Mayer.
Didn't he coach Travis Kelce at Cincinnati? I think so. I want to say.
If he didn't, it may have been like he might have been there right after, but I'm pretty sure he did as well. If you think about it,
Yeah,
if
so
that's the case, he's pushed out Travis Kelce. He had a tight end from Notre Dame go, I think, early in the second round. Michael Mayer, he was projected to be a top 20 pick, but
yeah,
we're building
uh,
something strong with the offensive line and the tight end room. But I
yeah.
look for Mason Taylor to be one of Jaden Daniels' favorite targets for sure.
Okay. Nah, I got that. What about the dude who went to our high school? Mason. Big
Oh,
third.
so he tore his ACL on that first drive against Florida State last year. He's been cleared. He's been practicing. The guy's going into his junior year. I don't know if I don't know how it worked, but he's looking to be a key contributor, one of the best players on defense, like coming up the middle at DT for sure. He's an impact player. Between him and Perkins, you're gonna get a big push on the line of scrimmage for sure.
Okay, cool, man. All right,
Mason.
yeah. I remember him, man. A lot of fanfare, man. He's a 5-star, man. He stayed home too. So that
We
was
got a 5-star. I don't know. He's a 3-star from Terrebonne. He's committed. He's a receiver.
okay,
I think
okay,
he's coming in the 2024 class, though, if I'm not mistaken.
okay. Now it's good to see people from our school get it, man. We had some good players that I wish could have got some shine, man, when we was coming up. So it's pretty good,
Look
man.
at Justin. Justin had a full ride to go to LSU at receiver and playing baseball, but he wanted to go play pro instead. He going to play pro baseball.
Yeah, second round pick for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And he
Mm-hmm.
played for my St. Louis Cardinals too. That was pretty.
Unfortunately, he's a free agent now, though. Unfortunately,
Well, I mean, shoot, man, you never know,
hey,
man. Like I said, this is not a baseball show, but I tell you what, anything can happen in baseball, man. So all you get that spring
hey,
training
that's a
invite.
guy. That's a guy that could have played. He could have played pro football.
Yeah,
Definitely. That's a
yeah, I
topic for
thought
another
so
day.
too. His brother could have played. I think his brother could.
Mike had a full ride to go play Nichols, but he wanted to play baseball, so he went to Meridian, and now not sure what he's doing. But he was I played 3 years of high school ball, and I caught balls from all kinds of guys that got through the hardest I've ever felt anybody throw a ball ever.
Yeah, I like I said, I thought, like I said, man, I thought Mike would have been a real good quarterback, man. I was in high school, man. I really thought he was good. Like I said, I thought another guy that went to high school with that would have been real good was Nugget, man. Nugget might have been undersized, but I think in the right training environment, he would have got bigger and everything. But I
I'll
think
tell you.
but he had to get his academics together for real. That was
I'll
gonna
tell
be
you one more guy from there, from Terrebonne, Florida State, Ja'Kai Douglas. Watch out. I
okay.
think he's going to break out this year.
Okay. Okay. All right, man. All right. Like I said, man, we got a lot of dudes, man. A whole lot. A whole lot. When I think of our recruiting class, I can think of two other guys. I thought Cody Peeler was gonna be a good linebacker somewhere.
If he wasn't
I,
on roads.
mm, yeah, he was a big dude, man. But you know what? But you know what?
he was
Even if that was the case, he still would have had to
still he was still
play.
a hell of a linebacker though.
Yeah,
Definitely.
like even if that was the case, he still should have been playing safety somewhere. He was undersized for a linebacker, but you could have moved him back at safety and just put him in the box. And the way the game was going, like small linebackers are what's winning nowadays. So that would have been good too. So like I said, man, I thought Sam would have been cool too. I thought he would have been cool. I thought he would have been better at outside linebacker than in because he had a little height to him. But
Mm.
like I said, man, there's just a lot of dudes that ain't get no shine, man. Like I just hate it.
Well,
I hated how that went.
when you
'Cause
come down to, and we're getting a little off topic, but sometimes when you come to high school, sometimes you have coaches can really fire you up with a speech, but a lot of coaches don't know how to utilize talent. There's obviously nobody watching probably knows unless maybe somebody watching that we know, but
yeah.
it was a lot of cases where it was a lot of talent. Not as much on defense. They utilized people really well on defense. Got a lot of guys that got to play it. But when you played offense, myself included, if you were not a starter or an immediate backup, you were never going to see the field. And yeah, unfortunately, just didn't know how to. There's a lot of guys who didn't get utilized. A lot of guys who I feel like could have played the next level and just didn't get the chance.
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, it's a tough game, man. High school's tough, man, especially back then. Now I think there's more interest in high school football than there's ever been, because you got all these tournaments, you got YouTube,
Seven on
now,
seven, all that
you know what
good
I'm saying?
stuff.
So you could market yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's important, man. I think social media is affecting high school more so than it was when we were in there
Mm-hmm.
because you see what you wanted to see back then. If you wasn't on like Max Preps or whatever, like
Max Prep's a huddle. Yeah.
yeah, you wasn't really paying attention. Now your social media page can get you viral in a couple days. You know what I'm saying? Like I think of Josh Jacobs coming out of high school, man. He was a 3-star. Only scholarship he had was like Southern Miss or something like that. Small
Mm-hmm.
schools. And he posted on Twitter and he was like a wildcat quarterback. So he had like 2,000 yards rushing or whatever. But he was good enough to get, a look at Bama, right? But he was
Mm-hmm.
about to commit to Oklahoma because I think that's where he's from. But he needed to go ahead from Nick Saban to commit, and that was it. The rest is history, bro. But that's how important social media is, man. It could change everything. So, like I said, I think it's good, man. I enjoy watching a little high school game every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of see what's out there, man. I like to catch Matter Day and Don Bosco. I like to catch them because typically they whole roster is going D1 or college
Those
something.
are teams that play and rank nationally, like IMG Academy, stuff like that. Those teams are always
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, shoot, man, I called Bryce and DJ Ugangale. I called him and Bryce Young. I called they little last high school championship game they played. That was
Mm-hmm.
live, bro. That was lit, man. Bryce was out here clowning, and then DJ just came back, bro, and beat him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh snap, this is gonna be
We'll,
fire. I would
we'll
have loved I would have loved to see them play in college together though, a championship game together. That would have been cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what he does this year at Oregon State, if he'll be able to make that translate or if he'll struggle like he did his last couple years at Clemson.
Yeah, man. I think for Clemson, man, they wanted him to be Trevor Lawrence 2.0.
Well, they
And
got used to those transcendent quarterbacks. You got to think they went from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence to DJ. I think DJ's more of an improviser. He doesn't need to be that kind of quarterback.
I just think I think DJ was just they were trying to make him into Trevor Lawrence as far as running the ball is concerned. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it affected his ability to throw a little bit too, because it's like,
Making bad decisions.
yeah, it's like, man, he just didn't feel comfortable in Clemson's system at all. So I will hope that when he goes to Oregon State, that they just kind of fit his style, man. And he's another transcendent player, man, that could change the fortune of that program, man. Just being there for 1 year could really help them a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a lot of changing in the Pac-12 and everything. So, but like I said, man, this is our favorite segment, our most important segment of the show so far. We enjoy it. We've had some contentious top 5 lists, man. So today we're gonna do the SEC's top 5 receivers of all time. All time. SEC top 5. You know what I'm saying? So I would like you to start, as always, because I like to see your list and we go from there.
Cool. Well, I have a good mixture here. I think you're going to agree with the vast majority of it. I don't know if you're going to agree with who I've got at 2-1, but I just, I like to be a little controversial. And it's good to be controversial. It creates discussion and we can kind of see each other's perspective. So at number 5, I'm going to go Percy Harvin. What he could do from a receiver perspective, as well as being able
Okay.
to rush the ball, opening that offense up with Tebow, Hernandez, all those guys. Key contributor to them winning the national title in 08. I think Percy Harvin's top 5. Easy. A lot of other lists will have him within the top 10, 15. I think he's top 5.
See now I gotta add a 5C, man. I gotta add a 5C. Since you went Percy Harvin, I gotta add somebody to mine. Okay.
Okay.
I got you. I
Okay.
got you.
Now
I got you. I
I'm
got
going to
you.
pay a little homage to you. I think number 4, I'm going to go Devontae Smith.
Ooh, I like that.
Not many guys. You look at how many guys that play receiver have won the Heisman. You think of like Desmond Howard, Devontae Smith. It's not many guys. And although I might not be as high on him as maybe you are, some other people are. I mean, you can't deny. And there are other guys that won the Heisman receiver that I don't have top 5, but that's not a problem. But I think Devontae Smith, although I'm not high on him, I think he's probably one of the better receivers you guys have had in a long time. But yeah, I think Devontae's number 4 for me.
Okay.
Uh, at number 3, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have this guy on your list. At 3, I got AJ Green.
I do. I do.
With
I do.
Matthew Stafford and them boys, AJ Green was a playmaker. He could take over a game. Just an overall really solid guy. I'm gonna throw one honorable mention in just because I really liked him and I thought he was really underrated. Was Michael Crabtree with Texas Tech, playing with Graham Harrell and them boys. Nobody, I don't know if a lot of the guys watching this will remember, but that play he scored on to win the game against Texas, legendary.
Legendary.
All right, Michael Crabtree is top 10, my hands down. Not top 5, but he's right there. Now,
Definitely.
this is where the controversy is going to come in, but it's okay. So, I mean, 2-1, I feel like it could go either way. The guy who I have at 1, most people might not think he'd be 1, but his stats speak for themselves. And number 2, I got Julio Jones.
Okay. Okay.
Julio, I feel like how you were talking about the other earlier or whatever, you were talking about how marketing or feel like he kind of started the running back phase for you guys. I feel like Julio Jones was that guy. Just he could do it all, man. Athletic catches, route running, breakaway speed, hands. You need a guy to get up and get something or win you a game. Julio Jones is the guy to go with. When quarterback play was kind of up and down with you guys, or you guys kind of had those kind of quarterbacks, Julio Jones has always missed the consistency, missed the go get up. Not many times in college or the pros you see Julio Jones drop the ball.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. He's a good player. Good player. Okay, go ahead.
Now,
Go ahead. Let me hear one. Let me hear one. One, baby.
I got Josh Reed at number one. Josh
You
Reed
know
from
what?
LSU. He's one of the greatest college receivers ever, All American, Biletnikoff winner, All SEC as well. The guy was just a bucket. If you need a guy that's just going to rack up yards, consistent, catch the ball, when LSU didn't necessarily have the greatest quarterback play around that time, around 2001 or whenever it was, I think Josh Reed's one, but I think there could definitely be a case for Julio to be the one as well, just for his consistency, great hands. But right now, I'm going to put Julio at two and Josh Reed at one.
Okay. Nah, that's cool. All right. All right. I like that list. I like this. Josh Reed. I did some research, obviously, before the show. He was good, man. He was damn good at LSU, man. He's probably one of their best receivers ever on a long list of receivers that's been real good in the NFL. So I don't really know what he did in the NFL, but I know what he did in college got him picked kind of high. So somebody thought he was real good. And once I seen some of the highlights and some of his film, some of his stats, I was like, okay, all right, cool, cool, cool. Like I said, man, I don't see no bad parts in your list, man. Percy Harvin, I didn't even consider him a receiver, honestly. I consider him a Swiss Army knife. But since we was going there, I had to add somebody to my list that was very important. But Julio, man, you don't understand how important Julio was, man, because Nick Saban came to Alabama what 07? So it was a
Yeah.
bad year. But 08 was better than the 09 team, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had all the talent and Parker Wilson was awesome. He was an
He
awesome
played
quarterback.
good.
He was awesome. So that team was better than 09. 09 was just tougher. Like
Mm-hmm.
that team, obviously you saw smash Florida, which was real good. But 08 wasn't tough enough to beat Tim Tebow at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't gonna happen. But the person that was responsible for the rebuild was Julio Jones. We don't get Dante Hightower, Courtney Upshaw, Dre Kirkpatrick, none of them dudes come to Bama without Julio Jones.
He
So
was a game changer.
he's the architect of what Nick Saban built. He was the key piece of recruiting. We had to keep him because he's from Foley, Alabama. He could go anywhere, so it didn't matter. But we had to keep him in Alabama. Without him, I don't think we do what we need to do against anybody without him. I think everybody else goes other places, but he was
Mm.
big. So like I said, man, all right, here's my list, man. I like your list, by the way. So my list, man, 5 seed, David Palmer, man. David
Yeah.
Palmer from Alabama, man. He's a Swiss Army knife. Since you went Percy Harvin, I was like, okay, I gotta add him to mine. He did everything: returner, receiver, running back, whatever. He was kind of one of the most important pieces on offense, man, and special teams. For that '92 national championship team, man, I don't think you could go anywhere without him. Obviously, we had some good defenders. I don't know if Cornelius Bennett was on there, but either way, we had some really good defenders, man, around that time, man. Some really good, hard hitting dudes. So, um, like I said, we had some good guys, man, but he was important part of that national championship team. 5B, I'm gonna go Eric Mose, man, at Mississippi State, man. One of the new guys that I had to do some research on, man. But NFL wise, man, you talking about a guy with almost 10,000 yards. Uh NFL, I mean college, you're talking about a guy with 2,000 yards and over 20 touchdowns. So guy's pretty good, man. And coming from Mississippi State back then, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. And he was doing his thing. So but like I said, one of the good guys. I really followed his career NFL wise more than college, but looking at his stats, man, he was a baller. Then 5A, I'm gonna go Amari Cooper, man. Uh
Yeah, that's one that I barely snubbed on mine.
yeah, Amari Cooper, man. Talk about short, long, medium, all the routes. He could run them all. That's his best
Great
thing in
route.
the NFL right now, route running. He could do it
Mm.
all, man. Couldn't that was made him unguardable. Wasn't the fastest, wasn't the quickest, man. Definitely wasn't the biggest, but he could run routes. And his route running was exceptional, man. So that's why I put him a 5, most definitely. Hate to be a homer, but I am.
Oh, but Amari Cooper was that dude.
Yeah. And then 4, gotta go Julio. I can't put Mari over Julio because without Julio, Mari doesn't go to Alabama, man. I think he goes to probably a Florida school. If Julio Jones doesn't come to Bama first, you know. So and then 3, I'm gonna go Sterling Sharp, South
Yeah.
Carolina. Man, talk about a guy that took the college thing by storm. Just happened he had a little brother that was a little better too, huh? But but Sterling Sharp, man, he was definitely awesome, man. Talk about a guy that was exceptional as a kick returner, exciting route runner, fast, had everything, electric. You know what I'm saying? NFL that got him picked for top 10, so he did his thing. Um, and then I want to talk about AJ Green, man, at 2, man. Absolute baller. He did his thing. I enjoyed him, man, with Matthew Stafford, man. He was an athlete. He could play,
Mhm.
he could run routes, he could jump ball with anybody, he could do it all. So I enjoyed him at Georgia, man, a lot. And he was picked before Julio in the draft. So you already know what's up. He was ranked before Julio in high school, and he was picked before him in the draft. So that lets you know he was something special, man, because Julio
Mhm.
was special too. So AJ Green's definitely one of my guys. And then number 1, I gotta go Smitty, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm a homer. I'm sorry. But I just don't think a guy has had, do you think about his career as a whole and think about it in sections instead of just the Heisman? Because his freshman year, you make the biggest catch in college football history in a national championship game to win. Then you continue your success and you know have a good year, whatever. And then you have another good year, you know what I'm saying? And when your boys go pro, Ruggs, Smith, not Ruggs,
Judy.
but Ruggs, Judy, right? They go pro. And it's like, oh, well, you should go too, right? Nah, nah. But coming into his senior season, you know, he didn't get the Bolitnikov and he had like more yards than everybody. He had like a touchdown. He had a lot of touchdowns. Didn't get the Bolitnikov with that either. So it was like, damn, what do you got to do, right? So you know, coming that season, man, it really wasn't him that people was talking about. It was Waddle. And before
Yeah.
Waddle got hurt against Tennessee, Waddle had like 800 yards in like 3 games. So you can imagine what kind of stuff he was going to be
He
on.
would have had otherwise.
He would have had a Heisman right then and there because he was on his way, right? But then, you know, Waddle ended up getting hurt against Tennessee and Smitty became the vocal point, man. And he took it in stride, man. He seemed like that year winning that Heisman, he was unguardable. Anybody. And I give Sarkeesian a lot of credit because he put him in positions to win. You know, rather than just line him up at receiver and run him deep, he put him in the backfield. He put him in a tight end slot. He put him in the slot. He put him in the outside. Man, he did everything. He did punt return, kick return too sometimes. So uh, he did some stuff, man. And that year that put him on the map is probably if you have a top 5 list, you cannot have you can't not have Smitty on there because he won a Heisman, man. It's only been 3 Heisman winners at receiver in the history of four of them in the history of college football. So, you got a guy that was before my time from Nebraska. You got Desmond Howard, Tim Brown, and Smitty. So I'm sorry. You number one on my list, man. And he just balled out, man. Like I said, he was just really a big time receiver, man. And the list of guys that we've had that come through this school that have been like first round talents, he's above all of them, man, because he got that hardware, man. So hey, I appreciate everything he did for the school, man. So yeah, and he's a 2-time champion too. So you just throw that in there too. So yeah, man, Smitty. So yeah, man, I liked your list though, man. Josh Reed, I was surprised you put him 1. I thought you would put AJ Green 1 because AJ Green was.
I'm high on AJ Green, but I don't know. I don't know. I put him higher because his quarterback play wasn't as good. AJ Green had a top 5 quarterback.
Right. True. I actually thought you was gonna bring up Alshon Jeffries for real. That was tough.
He would have been top 10.
That was my snub, like for real. If I was
Yeah,
really,
but I snubbed Amari Cooper to put them in there. Alshon's top 10 in my book. I just didn't think he was up there with some of these other guys. Just like I don't know, but he's up there for sure.
Man, I thought it was tough to put. It was either Amari Cooper or Alshon, and I went with my homerism. But Alshon was tough, man, because he was just big. He was big and he just a physical specimen, man. And then another receiver you gotta throw out there that people don't really think about being that was really good. DK Metcalf, man, from Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't think he's ranked that high, but I mean his body of work and how his play, I mean, is definitely different than a lot of other guys. I mean, we could make a freaking top 10 list just out of Alabama and LSU receivers. I mean,
right, true. But I think DK don't get a lot of love because he was at Ole Miss and it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't
AJ
like
played on the same team.
AJ Brown too. Like they had like 3 really good receivers at one time. So yeah, man. So I think he had a good list, man. A good list. It was really eye opening, man. Because I didn't know how high he was gonna put Julio. Now I put Julio I just put Julio like 4 because Sterling was so like watching his highlights, man. He was so good. Like he was great with South Carolina.
He was good in the league too.
Yeah, man, he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Really good.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. If you look at his numbers, man, like if you put Kurt Warner in there for a stretch of greatness, you got to put Sterling Sharp in there for a stretch of greatness. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because like for 8 years, he was the best receiver in the league.
That's more than enough time. Like you can knock somebody. You can knock people on longevity or however, but I mean, if you're dominant for that, I feel like that's the minimum.
Pro Bowls,
I feel like if you're dominant, if you're dominant or like top 5 to 10 over that stretch, like 8 years is like the minimum, then yeah. And I think that should be kind of like the guidelines because I feel like anything less than 8 years is kind of like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. But he got like 7 Pro Bowls, man, and like 7 years. Was like, I think he might have got 7 all pros. So, which one you want? If you want Pro Bowls, if you think Pro Bowls are really not important, then raise me 7 all pros, man. Because if you get all pro, you're like top 2 in your position group for the year. You know what I'm saying? So for 7 years, you're top 2 receiver in the league. I just think it's
how many all pros he has?
I think so. I think he got like 7, man.
He's got that many all pros, and that's the biggest snub in history.
Man, I'm telling you.
He's got anything even remotely close to that. Even if he got like 4 or 5. Because all pros, I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
I'm telling you, my dude had at least 3 or 4 seasons with 100 catches. Like, at least 3 or 4. Like, legit. Yeah.
They have a lot of receivers, I feel like, that went on tears like that. Because if you're just talking about, if we're just going to veer off for a second, I mean, if you're just going to talk about guys in the pros, I mean, it's Wes Welker. That tear he went on with New England, or even that first year or two at Denver, the guy was consistently catching over 100 receptions every year.
Right. So, you know what I'm saying? Like those are like important things. But receivers have kind of always gotten snubbed in the NFL Hall of Fame, man, because Art Monk retired as the leading receiver in every category when he retired. And it took him like 10 years to get in there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you telling me a guy can retire as a leading receptions leader, yards, and touchdowns, and you don't put him in there? I don't know. So I think it's just sometimes the I think all Hall of Fames, man, should just kind of look at everything. Like I said, we'll veer off. This is a closing argument, segment, but I think all Hall of Fames should do like break it down into quarters. 25% fan vote, 25% like peers, former players, or current players. Actually, I think you should do current players. I think you should do the writers because I think they earned the right to do it because they've been doing it so long. And then the Hall of Fame voters, the ones that are still alive or their family have votes or whatever. I think you should break it down into 4 quarters, man. Fan vote, current players, when I say coaches, and then former the Hall of Famers. Yeah, writers, coaches, everything. So I think you should break it down in 4 parts, man. So they could so you could make it even, man. Make it because I feel like the writers got too much say so, and it'd be a good guys that get in, and then it's like dudes that like right on that damn line that are so good that I can't really call you a Hall of Famer because maybe you didn't win a championship, man. But then you
definitely is a case by case situation.
So yeah. So yeah, but yeah. So I think that's good, man. Like I said, episode 3, I think we did good. Great episode, man. I'm excited, man, to keep going. And man, I'm excited. It was fun, man. Let's just keep going, man. Let's keep growing. And episode 4 coming up soon, man. Anything else you gotta say, bro, before we get up out of here?
I'm gonna say it again. Y'all just be patient. We're figuring things out. We're getting good. We're trying to figure out what you guys like, and we're just trying to touch all bases. We want to have good, wholesome discussions, conversations. Everybody's going to be entitled to their opinions. Obviously, there's players that he likes, there's players that I like, but there's a lot of things that we touch bases in the same relative ballpark. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's good to be able to discuss with people that not necessarily that always agree, but for the most part, we're in the same ballpark. So just be patient. I hope you guys have a good time, and drop comments below, like the video, subscribe, and we'll keep them coming.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. All right, y'all. We up out of here. Later.
Sure.